Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Burnt Coverage. I am your host, Curtis.
And I'm Joel.
And we're here to break down your weekly and daily FanDuel, DraftKings, Yahoo Sports, Fantasy, League. You're putting money on it. It's not gambling, it's a game of skill. But we're going to tell you who to put your money on in this game of skill. The skill is you watched us.
It's only gambling if you live in 5 states.
That's true. And I would never live in those 5 states. Nice to visit, though. And I'd like to start this segment with running back. So you wanna lead off, actually?
Yeah, I'll start off. I'll start off with maybe not a very popular name this year. I think it's actually the first time that he's been mentioned on the show in 7 weeks. I'm going to go with Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller, Miami Dolphins. So last week, we haven't heard much from Lamar Miller, but Lamar Miller had the free Lamar game last week. He went for 119 yards and a touchdown on 19 carries, while reeling in 2 or 3 catches versus Tennessee. We all know that they are coming off the bye, and over the bye they got rid of their head coach Joe Philbin and brought in Dan Campbell. Not brought him in, but just promoted Dan Campbell. And so now he's going against a Houston Texas D that is allowing 109 yards rushing per game. And he's still only 24. I feel like I've been making fun of Lamar Miller for like 8 years now, but it's only been like 2.
It's a lot of making fun of.
I feel like I've been digging at Lamar Miller for much longer than 2 or 3 years. But so 19 carries last week. Dan Campbell said he wanted to change the regime and just give a different look to the offense. And last week on the show, I said that I think they're going to run the ball more, but I thought it was going to be Ryan Tannehill running the ball more. Right call, wrong guy. It was Lamar Miller who they were going to run. I didn't have any confidence in him last week, but I have all the confidence in the world in Lamar Miller this week. So I expect 20-plus touches this game. He's always been a volume back. He's always gotten better as the game's gone on. He's a guy who needs 18 to 22 carries to really be effective. He's not one of those running backs who can be effective with 10 to 15 carries. And Miami's looking for their first win of the season at home, and their first win ever against the Houston. They've never beaten the Houston Texans. And he's going for the price. It's not terribly cheap, not terribly expensive, right in that middle tier, which is where I like to win all my money. $6,700 on FanDuel and $4,600 on DraftKings.
You know, as you know, if you've watched the show, which you haven't, I really advise against playing last week's heroes. Yeah, it's just
Do you? Are you sure?
It's really never profitable, Joel. and don't try to fix a mistake from last week by playing them this week. I just I don't see where this is coming from here.
What do you mean? Houston does not have a good run defense.
Let's see.
They want to change the offense, and the offense is more successful when they can run the ball better. The run to set up the pass.
I get all the things you're saying, but we're still talking about Lamar Miller here, who's one of the most inconsistent running backs for a couple of reasons. One of which is talent. The other of which is that he gets very inconsistent touches. He rarely breaks the 20 carry mark. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans start to pull away from this not so great Dolphins defense. We were all really excited first week, but then all of a sudden the Dolphins beat a sprained MCL Marcus Mariota, and we're thinking they're back. Cameron Wake did have a good game. He can still have a good game against Brian Hoyer. And nothing against the people that are on that talent or on that defense, because I've seen talented players on defenses that have sucked. Buccaneers! But you know, I just can't imagine that Lamar Miller is going to have a week as good.
I'm telling you, so they're coming. They're on the cusp of a really brutal stretch of road games. This is going to be their first home win of the season. I don't think Houston pulls away. I don't think this is a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be one of those lower-scoring 21-17 games. But no, I think Lamar Miller is going to be the focal point of the offense at this point, and for here on for the rest of the season too.
Houston's got 2 guys that demand a touchdown a game, in Foster and Hopkins, and sometimes 2. I can't imagine that Houston scores any less than 21. Just with those 2 guys starting, if they play a healthy game. I can't imagine the Dolphins are gonna. And the Dolphins have so many good targets on the wide receiver. So many decent targets, I should say.
Decent.
Devontae Parker coming in. Stills, he was a little shaky with an injury, but he was playing well. He was actually promoted to starter. Still have old-ass Greg Jennings. Of course, Jarvis Landry is the target monster. And then Rashard Matthews has been really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a lot of guys in the passing game that I think they can rely on a little more. And Tannehill is a passing quarterback. He is a historically, I mean, he has a short history, but historically, Tannehill's been a good percentage guy. So
But that's the thing. So Lamar Miller had 19 carries last week. 15 of them were in the first half.
19 carries.
19 carries.
Not 20.
Not 20. No, but it's the first game under new head coach Dan Campbell, as we've covered. So 15 in the first half. Then they start to spread it out amongst the other running backs. Jonas Gray. There was a Jonas Gray sighting last week. But no, I really think that Dan Campbell found the formula that he wants now, and it's going to be run the ball to set up the pass, which is it's an old credo for NFL success.
And yeah, and if I had to argue one more thing in this, one little thing for you, I would say Joe Philbin was the offensive coordinator in Green Bay, so he's like, oh, just let my quarterback do everything. That's worked for me before.
Newsflash: Ryan Tannehill's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And I don't know, was he there in the Brett Favre regime? I don't know, but he's not Brett Favre.
But he did turn down signing Matt Flynn, which said something.
Yeah. Well, who hasn't now? Yeah, what segment are we on?
Running
backs. Perfect. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for listening.
Yeah. Here at Burt Coverage, we always listen. I want to go to a lower price a lower price running back here, and I say quarterback because this running back isn't really a running back, he's a wide receiver, and that's Danny Woodhead. Danny Woodhead has seized the job of top running back in San Diego because of Melvin Gordon's ineptitude. A guy I used to do a fantasy show with said once that Melvin Gordon was a really good pick last week. I don't know. I hate to dwell on last week because some people did awesome.
You want me to go off on a tangent? I'll go off on a tangent.
No, don't say tangent.
I'll go off on the same tangent that I text you.
We'll say we're tangent. I just want to say, as I said last week, when someone mentioned Melvin Gordon would be good, Melvin Gordon hasn't proven it. I'll put my money on him after he does, and he still hasn't. And now he is in danger of actually not even playing this week. He supposedly suffered an ankle injury at the end of last game, and that's why he didn't get a lot of carries. I think he didn't get a lot of carries because he put the ball on the ground. It was completely ineffective. Now we have Woodhead, who has been effective for the Patriots, who obviously are a great offensive team, and with Aaron Rodgers, and with Phillip Rivers. That's where I'm at right now on that. And with Phillip Rivers throwing as much as he does. Threw for 500 yards last week, as many of you saw. Hopefully you saw that game, one of the best quarterback performances in recent memory. And now he's facing Oakland, who is not that great against the pass. However, they are second versus the run. So you're thinking, why would I play a running back who's playing a defense second against the run? Because he doesn't run. He's solely there to get receptions. He's been averaging at least 6 receptions a week. He has 27 receptions already for the year. Like for a league, especially like DraftKings, where you get a point per reception, I expect Danny Woodhead to easily get 10 targets, maybe 15 overall touches, and he is actually the goal line back right now, as small as he is. So I look for Danny Woodhead to really perform this week.
So there's so many things wrong with your argument there. I'm going to start off with my my Melvin Gordon tangent. So last week, I tend to play in some of these sites. I don't just talk about it on camera. Last week I had 200 points on DraftKings. 200 points, which you win some money, and that's like a really good score if you guys follow, you know. And I had the perfect lineup, except I had Melvin freaking Gordon in my lineup, who got me 1.3 points. 1.3. Melvin Gordon, I will never, ever have you on my team, any team, ever again. Screw you. The amount of hatred I have for Melvin Gordon at this point, and I apologize, but I took the hit as much as you guys did. I recommended him, and I backed my word up. I played him, and I paid the price because the difference between what I could have had any other running back for that price in my lineup,
DeMarco Murray,
was the amount that the amount of entertainment value that I would have won.
Yeah, right now he could be sitting here.
I would not
a couple grand.
I would not be sitting here.
Yeah. He would be sitting here gloating.
Screw you, Melvin Gordon. But so first of all, onto the actual topic. First thing wrong with your argument is that I think that Brandon Oliver is actually going to be the recipient. They've said that Melvin Gordon has to earn his way back in the lineup. Good, because he's not going to sitting on the bench. I think Brandon Oliver will be the running back. Danny Woodhead's receiving back. Yes, Danny Woodhead's done it in the past, but Danny Woodhead's very inconsistent. You don't know how that's going to react. Philip Rivers threw for 500 yards last week, but the reason that Philip Rivers always throws for so much, he's a very good quarterback, but they're always playing from behind. That's why he has to throw for so many yards and attempt so many passes. They will not be playing from behind with Oakland. There's no way that Oakland jumps out to a 3-touchdown lead, which leads to Philip Rivers having to throw the ball 50 times. That's the only reason that he threw 500 yards. There was something else wrong with your arguments.
No, there wasn't.
I forget about it.
I do want to say that I like Brandon Oliver too, and for the bottom barrel price that he is in both of the leagues, a shot in the dark. I'm not going to argue with you with that. It's just not something I'm going to bring to you today. But yeah, I don't see a problem with that either. But I don't think it really hurts Woodhead. Woodhead has established himself in this offense, and your point is valid. They probably won't be down a ton to Oakland. But Oakland's been a competitive team this year, and Philip Rivers probably won't throw it 65 times, but he might throw it 40 times, which is still a good amount.
But the thing is, like you have two teams that have good offenses, but those good offenses are only because both teams are usually playing from behind. So one of these teams is going to have to be playing from ahead at some point in this game. It's a football game. Someone's going to be up. And Oakland Raiders put up good offensive numbers because they're down 2 or 3 touchdowns every game. San Diego Chargers, same story. That's not going to be the case for one of these teams. So one of these teams, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the San Diego Chargers, not going to be playing from behind.
Well, all right, but I think Danny Woodhead's certainly going to get, 10 touches is the floor, and his ceiling...
The floor? I think that's the ceiling. 10 touches?
He's gotten 10 touches every week.
He's
had 20 touches.
As a receiver.
He's had 20 touches this year. But overall touches, he's going to get a few carries. He might get some goal line carries. Saying, inexpensive price in a situation where the starting running back hasn't lived up. We'll see what Joel says next. Do you have something else here, running back wise?
I do. I have the running back for the Oakland Raiders, Latavius Murray. Last week recorded he's only recorded 100-yard game this season. That was week 3 versus Cleveland, where he went for 139. At that point, Cleveland was ranked 30th against the run. So this week against the aforementioned San Diego Chargers, the San Diego Chargers are currently ranked 28th against the run, giving up an average of 5 yards a carry and 127 yards a game. What we saw last week, San Diego Chargers played the Green Bay Packers, and this is the same Chargers defense that just gave up 112 yards to James Starks. Who? That's right, James Starks. 30-year-old James Starks, 112 yards and a touchdown on 10 carries. Yes, I know it was on one big run, but it's 112 yards, it's still 112 yards. Latavius Murray is a much better running back than James Starks. He's going to get the volume in this game just because the defenses are going to, the San Diego defense is going to focus on Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, and so that's going to open up. They're going to play more. They're going to play more nickel. That's going to open up lanes for Latavius to run all day long. Going for dirt cheap price. 7,000 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings. Run with it.
No, I will not run with it. Latavius Murray is doing well. He's actually 12th in the NFL in rushing. Now, we're in the weird bye week period, so don't put too much faith in that. But yeah, 12th in the league in rushing. And the Chargers are 29th in stopping the run. What we have here is a bit of a, I don't know, like a MacGuffin, if you say. We're gonna say that, oh, Latavius Murray is gonna be good this week because the Chargers are bad against the run. However, really the only way Oakland stays in this game is that they keep up with the high-powered offense of the Chargers, and they're gonna have to throw. I don't see a situation where Latavius Murray is gonna get 20 carries. It's just not gonna happen. San Diego's gonna blow Oakland out of the water. Just
blow them out of the water, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Blow them out of the water. The Chargers just played Green Bay in Green Bay and went down to the last play.
Didn't you just say Philip Rivers going to throw the ball 45 times? Why does he have to throw the ball 45 times if they're going to blow him out of the water?
Well, I don't see a situation where the Chargers are losing this game. You think the Chargers are going to be in a tight game all the way through?
No.
No, me neither. And because you think the Chargers are going to be up, and so they're obviously going to abandon the run. Latavius Murray hasn't done enough. I haven't seen enough consistently from Latavius Murray to put my money into him.
Because he's only faced one bottom quarter defense this season, and what did he do with it? Given the touches, he got 139 yards.
This sounds like the Melvin Gordon speech I heard last week, though, with Latavius Murray. Like, oh, he's not that great. This week he's got to be good.
Didn't somebody just say, don't worry about last week's stats?
Well, don't call me crying when on Monday night you had a perfect lineup. You're like, I had Latavius Murray, and what was I thinking? I knew San Diego was going to win.
Melvin Gordon run for 150 yards.
Oh, man, that would kill me, too. Because I'm not playing Melvin Gordon, by the way.
I might not film another show.
I'm gonna end my segments on a high note here and go with the most obvious play at running back in DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, in the NFL. And I want to just give my part and say thank you, Joel, for letting me speak on behalf of the great Todd Gurley. And Joel also thought Todd Gurley was a good play this week.
Yes.
He let me speak on him. So Todd Gurley, 5,000 in DraftKings. Once again, DraftKings, where you at?
Right?
I know there was a bye week, and we completely forgot everything that happened
I know
before.
you guys have a lot of hearings in the Senate right now. Update your salaries.
Yeah. Todd Gurley, never heard of him. Minimum. 5,000 in DraftKings, 7,400 in FanDuel. Let's talk about Todd Gurley. He's had two, I would say, full games in the NFL. The first one he rushed for 146 yards. Yes, 146. The second, 159. So, guy's doing pretty good. I know it's a small sample size, but here we go. He's the only weapon for the Rams right now. You're lucky if... I think the over-under passing yards for Nick Foles in a week is 200.
I would take the under every day of the week. Are you kidding me? If it's 150, I would still take the under.
Wow, yeah.
If it's 100, I would be like, he might get 110.
He's doing pretty terribly in that department. Luckily, they do have a good defense, which keeps them in games, but we'll see how long that lasts. And Todd Gurley did have an issue with an injury. That's why he's only played 2 complete games, 3 overall, but he had limited touches in the first game. They're coming off a bye, so he had 2 productive games. He got to rest up from those off the bye. And guess what? He's at home this week, and he's playing the Cleveland Browns. Do you know where the Cleveland Browns rank against the run? Dead last. So you have arguably, and I'm going to go on a limb here, arguably the most productive running back per game in the NFL, going up against the worst run defense on the road. It is a recipe for disaster for Cleveland. Todd Gurley, it's hard to find a way not to put him into your lineups. His floor at this point is 100 yards, I think, with the amount of touches. He had 30 touches last game. He only had 19 in the game, 19 touches when he had 146, so he's a guy that obviously can break a few big runs. Look for Todd Gurley to have a huge game this week.
Yeah, I mean, you know I love Todd Gurley. extolled the praises of Todd Gurley before this week about his college career, and it's one of those few instances where this offense is going to run through Todd Gurley no matter what the score is. Doesn't matter how much they're down, they know Todd Gurley is their best shot at fighting back into the game, because St. Louis is always going to be down. They're very rarely going to be up, but it doesn't matter because Jeff Fisher has his issues, but knowing where his bread is buttered is not one of them, and Todd Gurley is it. Todd Gurley is the real friggin' deal, and yeah, all in, like, dirt cheap, like for the price that you're paying and the production you're going to get. You're right. I think 100 yards is the floor, and he has a pass catching back. He can catch passes out of the back.
Isn't really done it yet.
No, not at all. And so that's just another aspect that is going to be unleashed. We just haven't seen it yet. He did it a lot at Georgia. So yeah, no, that's the best call you've ever made since I've known you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I know it's a backhanded compliment, but I'll take it. I also want to say, for you youngsters out there that don't know a lot about Jeff Fisher, Jeff Fisher's always a guy that's given it to his best player to make plays.
Yes.
Whether it was the late Steve McNair, or Eddie George, like he's always tried to let his best player win a game. And if you perform well, he gives you the ball. We've seen it with Tavon Austin this year.
Yep.
Tavon Austin wasn't getting any touches, and now he's getting a few and performing with them. And yeah, it's hard to not argue Todd Gurley.
Yeah, he's going to be in so many, like he's going to be one of those 80% plays this week. But that's fine because he's going to be worth every cent.
You'd be shocked though, because Devontae Freeman sometimes isn't as played as
well, because everyone expects Devontae Freeman to come crashing back to earth, because Devontae Freeman's been in the league for 2 or 3 years now, and he couldn't even win the starting job out of the preseason. Mm-hmm. Todd Gurley, everyone's known from the get-go. They're like, all right, mid-season this year, he'll be one of the top 5 backs in the league.
As you know, I like Phillip Rivers, and I play him a lot. I picked him and last week, and he was 2% played in leagues last week. People in Green Bay or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't just expect that just because everybody knows about Todd Gurley. Obviously, DraftKings doesn't know about Todd Gurley. So feel free to play him if you're that person like, oh, everybody's gonna play him. I wouldn't worry about that too much. 20% played is on the high side, but I wouldn't want to be the 20% that didn't.
No, exactly. You don't want to miss this boat because he is going to have a huge game. It's a perfect storm brewing, like you said.
What's the ceiling? 200? Worst defense?
The ceiling?
Worst defense? He's already had first 146, 159.
And those were against good teams, and they were down.
And in the Green Bay game, they kept.
I know they could be up at this game. St. Louis could be beating Cleveland at some point, and then it's just a running game. His ceiling 250.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he's that good. I've talked about him for multiple weeks.
Well, except for that week where I picked him, and you're like, bullshit.
I love you, Todd Gurley.
Yeah. He remembers. Todd Gurley remembers.
I follow you on Twitter, Todd.
Yeah,
do you follow him on Twitter?
I don't need to follow him on Twitter. I follow him with my wallet when I put money on him. You got somebody else?
Nope.
All right.
I did too.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Burnt Coverage. I'm your host,
Curvis, and I'm Todd Gurley's agent, Joel.
And we'll see you in our next segment.
See you on the couch.
Bye.